and how to implement that application. Okay, that we are going to discuss here. Observe. So in general, real time, a developer is actually implementing one application. Okay, is actually writing the code. At the time of writing the code, we are going to use some tools like some IDE. Okay, let us take Eclipse or IntelliJ IDE, okay, or STS. So we are writing the code and we will be testing that application locally. So whenever any error, some problem or exception comes, all the details are printed at console. Those details are actually printed at console. Okay, the problems in the application. So if we just take IDE, so this is some STS Eclipse version IDE. So there you will see a console option. This is a console option. So all the details are printed here. It can be a success message, failure, everything that is printed console. Okay, but in the later, it is going to be moved to production. Means that is actually moved to real-time server. In that case, the console, though it is available, that will be having some limited. Okay, so you can't see everything what is happening like yesterday, day for yesterday, 5 days back. So if you want to see all the errors and problems, it will be a complication situation. You can't observe everything. Okay, so in the production environment, generally, if a pipeline concept is used, so there is an application. This is a code you are writing here in your developer machine. So this code will be compiled, built, and deployed in a real-time server. Okay, this server is actually used by real-time people. That is actually we are calling as a production environment. Okay, so assumption your application is compiled and built and running as a WAR file. Okay, so that is working. Now there is a user, end user. By using their machine, they are making a request. A request has come and it is actually giving some response. Don't think that always application will work perfect. Especially in the initial stages of application, they may give a lot of problems. Those problems sometimes we may fail to identify at the time of coding and initial testing. Okay, so here those kind of problems may come once we move to production environment. In the production environment, when you're running the application, some client devices or end customers are they are making request and getting response. Sometimes you will see transactions fails at the time of doing payment. Okay, suddenly application will not respond. Okay, some problems will occur. Those problems are actually happening in the application. I want to know what is happening here. Not only problems, everything I just want to observe. Okay, so all the things I just want to observe what is happening in the application. I just want to find out the messages. Okay, the messages can be a success message, failure message, that is error message, warning message, everything. Okay, I want to see all the messages. Okay, so that I can understand what problem is actually happening. Okay, so identifying such messages, so that is actually called as logging. Logging, not login logout, it's a logging. Logging is a process of getting complete status of the application in the form of messages. Okay, this logging concept must be implemented by a developer at the time of coding, so that if application moved to server in the production environment, whatever the problems occurred, that will be identified here. Okay, so first I'm just giving some point here. What is logging? Okay, there's actually getting messages from application, especially something like production server. Of course, it can be anywhere, but mainly, okay, like success, errors, warnings, etc. All types of messages, I just want to get it. Okay, that is actually called logging. If you want to do logging, then how it is actually implemented? Okay, so once you get these errors and warnings, then developer will see all these messages. They will understand, okay, this is related to code. I'll fix the code. I'll modify the code. No, this is related to something, transactions operation. This is something related to integration. Okay, this is something related to UI. This is something related to backend. They'll understand everything by using this file. This is actually logging. So by using this logging, we can monitor, first of all, monitor the process. Okay, and find bugs from real time environment. Okay, we can monitor the process, what is happening, okay, transaction, how smooth it is going, and we can identify what problems are actually coming. Based on this, developer will give bug fixes in the next fixes, or in the next sprint. Okay, in the next milestone, they are going to give the bug fixes. Okay, so how can we implement logging? Logging can be implemented by using different tools. There are a lot of tools to implement. In that, one of the famous one is actually Apache product, that is Log4J. Okay, second version, that is 2.x version, is the latest version. Okay, even there are some other tools we have. Okay, Java logging. Okay, so that is actually, we have even commons logging. Okay, so even multiple tools are there. Okay, so but today I am mainly concentrating on Log4j concept. Okay, this notes and all I'll post in my GitHub account. You can download it from there. Okay, complete material, examples, everything I'll post it, so you can just observe. Okay, so this is we are going to see here. So I want to track all the messages from the especially environment like server, that is production environment. Okay, so this content I just want to get to monitor this application, and I can, so that I can do some, find the bugs here. Okay, I can fix that. Okay, so now I'll use log4j. Okay, I'll trace this data, this logging messages, but whatever you trace, that need to be stored somewhere. Okay, whatever the messages, success message, failure message, need to be stored somewhere. So that is actually multiple places we can do. One of the mostly used process is actually file, a simple text file. All the log messages, all the log messages will be stored in a file. That is also called as log file, .log. Okay, that's the first use case. Second, we can even store all these details in a database as a table format. And we can even, at same time, I even want to enable it console. Okay, for developer mission purpose, I can print all the messages at console. That is simply sysout or system.out println concept. You can simply compare that. Okay, we can even write to a network by using a protocol, something like SMTP. Okay, you can send an email. Okay, in case of some alerts, I just want to say in case of real fatal exceptions and all. So like we have multiple. Okay, so the question, where can you store these log messages? One of the most used real-time process is actually file. All the success message, failure message, all the messages will be written to a file. These are called log files in real time. Developer, okay, so once you write the code and move to production and someone says application is not working properly, the first thing what developer has to do, check the log file. Step number one, okay, you want to identify the problem, first check log file. Then take second end user inputs, then check the use cases, try to debug the application. Those are all next steps. The first step, go to that log file. Okay, so identify any errors are there or any warnings are there. Okay, how the process has went. Okay, success or failure, everything that we have to see here. Okay, Now observe here. So this one, log messages can be stored at different places. Okay, or different formats we can call here. That's actually files, database, email. At console also we use for developer perspective. Generally console is used for development perspective here. Okay, now I just want to implement this log4j. Okay, so you want to implement log4j. Yes, every application is recommended to have log4j concept or logging concept here. Now I want to implement log4j. So then we have to handle three components. In the log4j, we have three components. One is actually logger. Second one is actually appender. And third one is actually layout. Okay, in an application, I want to implement log4j so that I can check messages. So then we have three things. One is logger. Second one, appender. Third one, layout. Okay, so here we will be writing lots of classes in our application. Okay, so if you take one web application, we'll be writing something like repository service. Okay, a repository class we can call. Okay, or we'll be writing some services. We'll be writing controllers. We'll be writing entities. Different types of code files we write in real time. So here, if you observe, now in these files, generally I want to know what process is actually happening in the controller. I just want to observe. I want to know what is actually happening in the service. I'll be writing some code. Entities, we generally don't write any code. In entities files, we generally don't write any code. It is just something like variables, set, get methods and all here. Okay, so you can see just it is something like variables and setters and getters. There we don't write much code. Okay, so which classes do you want to observe? Controller, I want to observe what is happening inside. I want to observe what is inside the service. I want to observe what is inside the repository. For which classes do you want to observe? In those classes, you need to create logger object. Okay, that's the first point here. Okay, you need to create a logger object. This logger will tell that, okay, hey, particular class, I am just observing you. Okay, if you give any success messages or any failures or warnings, whatever you provide, yes, I'll be watching all those things here. Okay, so that is a stage number one. I'll show how to create a logger. Okay, so logger is a first object that will activate logging for a particular class. Okay, you may ask question, sir, I have some 20 classes. Do I need to create logger in 20 classes? Just understand the point. In the 20 classes, okay, not every class is actually something like entry point or major code. Okay, one class will be there just object creation and printing. No, it's not required. Okay, one class will be there just only variables and set get methods. No, it's not required. One class will be there that contains actual application logic. Yes, you write it. Okay, logger object you need to create in the actual service providers or controllers mainly. No need to write entities. Okay, no need to define inside the entities, models, or simple DTOs. You need not to write. Okay, second, appender. Okay, logger activates the log4j for a particular class. Second, appender. Where do you want to print the data? Okay, just now we discussed these are all appenders. File appender. That means I want to store in a file. Database appender. That means I want to store in the database. Console appender, SMTP appender. Okay, so that is this called JDBC appender actually here. Like will be appenders will be having. Appender says where do you want to store. Third one, layout. Layout indicates actually do you want to represent some data in the format like XML format do you want to print, HTML format do you want to print, or some the pattern do you want to show the output in the pattern. Okay, so what is the pattern that you want. Okay, for example, I want to show log message like this. First, some date and time. Some date and time. Then I want to print class name, employee controller. Then I want to print some method name, save EMP. Then I want to print some priority details. Then I want to print actual message, employee created. This is, I am just giving a format. First print at what date and time, which class, which method is called, what is the message type. Okay, so you can decide your own pattern. Okay, that comes under the category called layout, how the message structure should look like. Okay, that's actually called layout. Now observe. Okay, logger. Which classes do you want to activate? Appender. Okay, where you want to store? Log messages. Layout. How you want to print? These are three components required. Okay, and especially appender and layout are actually configured by using an XML file here. Okay, logger will be created inside the class and linked to that XML file. Okay, I'm just giving some overview points here. What is logger? It is a base object in Log4J. It enables or activates logging or monitor of a class. Okay, if it is under execution of a particular class or a particular process. Okay, just I'm writing some dummy code here just for understanding. There is something like we have employee controller. We have a class. Now I want to tell, hey, I'll be monitoring this employee controller. I just want to check what is happening inside this. Okay, then you need to create a logger object. Okay, you need to create a logger object. Just I'm writing a simple code, but I'll write a complete one at last. Logger log is equals to. Okay, so there I'm just using, there is a class we have log manager in the latest version, get logger. And we have to mention your current class as a parameter here that ends with a dot class, internally something like a reflection format. So that will be observing. Okay, so what is the meaning of this one? Whatever the process executes in employee controller, please be analyzing that one. Okay, write to a log file. Okay, or write to a database. This is actually way you need to create the object. Okay, so if you have some 20 classes, yes, you need to write like this. Okay, but remember, do not create logger object. For entity classes. Entity means you will be writing some examples in Hibernate. @entity, @tables, DTO, data transfer. Okay, or a simple POJO classes will be there. Okay, so there is no such logic to understand or no such logic to observe. Okay, don't create logger object. No use. Okay, a class have simple variable set get methods. No need to create the logger object. Don't create. So better recommended actually controllers, services, or if you have REST controllers, utilities. Okay, service providers, service managers. Okay, so payment integrations, such kind of codes if you have, there you create the logger object. Okay, so there is another concept we have that is actually called AOP. That is actually Spring AOP, aspect oriented program, that will do cross-cutting concern. Means that will say need not to write this code. Without writing this code, I will do global configuration. That we'll see later, not now. So okay, some people may ask questions, sir, I don't want to write manually like this. I want to inject this kind of code at runtime. Yes, that is possible. That is called aspect oriented programming. Okay, we discuss regarding this later. Okay, handling Log4J by using AOP in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so today I'm just giving some basic point here. So that is actually how you create the logger object. Okay, so now this is logger object you created, fine, but you have to indicate type of messages. Observe carefully. We have different types of messages. To indicate each type of message, there is actually priority methods are given. Priority methods are given. Okay, what are these priority methods? Now look at initially debug, info, warn, error. These are the 5 priority methods. But in Log4j 2 version, one more is actually added for trace. This is for distributed environment, especially something like microservice, okay, or service client, service provider, and consumer environment. Okay. Now, what priority method says? What type of message it is? Okay, you are getting all the messages, right? Okay, how you decide if something is printed with an error? Hey, it is an error message. Okay, exception. Okay, now look at info. One of the mostly used message category is info, and second one is error. But I'll show all. Okay, what info indicates? Okay, info indicates actually current step. Okay, or what is a current stage? Okay, so request entered into controller. It is making a service call. It is fetching the data like that. The current stage, to indicate the current stage, okay, we are going to use info. Error, okay, to give details about exception. Okay, something you got null pointer exception. Okay, or index out of bound exception, whatever the exception that you got in the application, error indicates that exception. Okay, and next, debug generally indicates the result of the operation. Okay, so for example, yeah, you can use in a different ways also, but what is the actual use cases? I'm just using here. I'm just mentioning here. The debug process indicates, okay, you created employee. Employee saved with ID 200 successfully. Okay, the resultant values, the results need to be represented by using debug process, or else what internally it is trying to call. Okay, like that, it's internal application steps that you can print. We will be using in 2 cases. One is to print final result of a process, okay, or to print internal information, internal details. For example, my application is internally calling some Hibernate code. Hibernate code is internally calling something like JPA connectivity. Okay, like that internal process also we can call debug. Okay, as especially as an application developer, where you want to use debug generally to print the final result. Okay, warning. Okay, you need not to handle warnings. Application itself will print warnings. Okay, but if you want to print warnings, yes, you can. Okay, so application related messages, these are actually a variable is created but not used. Okay, method parameter is taken but never used. Okay, list is not initialized. Okay, our empty list is actually used in the process. Like some warnings will be there. Okay, these are not application stops, but these are type of memory related issues. Okay, so a lot of people will think, hey, it's a warning, let us leave it. No, warning may not stop your application process, but it will affect the performance. Remember? Okay, so in the real time, I used to see a lot of people will ignore warning, say it is a warning, let us ignore this. Okay, exceptions will fix it. No, it's not a good approach. Warnings, okay, that will affect on performance. Something like it may consume memory. Okay, that will try to reduce network speed, that because of some additional data, unnecessary variables. So warnings also should not be there in the application. That is also you have to take care. Fatal cannot be handled by programmer, but it will show there is a complication issue. Okay, there is a complication issue. Okay, something network is not responding, something like database connection is closed because of some issue. Okay, or something like complication process is actually suddenly network is down, suddenly server is down. Okay, such kind of things are indicates fatals. Okay, network connectivities, that means service provider is not responding. Okay, so here environment related issues. This example. Now trace is a new concept. It was not their beginning. Okay, it is actually generally recommended in multi-stage application. Okay, for example, you made a request to book my show application. Book my show application, you chosen some seats and payments. Okay, payment gateway, it went to Amazon Pay. Okay, our Amazon app you redirected, our Paytm app you redirected. Okay, from the Paytm, okay, there is no balance. From there, it has to move to credit card, some XYZ credit card service. So there, application one request is going to application two. From there, it is going to application three and coming back here. So I just want to have, okay, the files content or information, how exactly it is going internal stages. Okay, in the distributed environment, okay, the trace concept is generally used or recommended. Okay, so I'm waiting for this. Okay, I'm just getting this information here. Okay, to find messages from multiple stages or environments or apps. Okay, instead of calling separate apps, we have a concept of microservice environment. Okay, so in Spring Boot, we'll be having microservice concept, one application divided and connected. Okay, especially that is called distributed applications, you can call. Their tracing is actually mostly used. Tracing along with some tools, only tracing you can't get, because trace message, book my show logs will be printed at one place. Okay, then Paytm logs are printed to one application. You will get doubts, sir, how all these application logs will be connected to one place. Okay, we have to use some additional tools along with a trace, something like Zipkin and Sleuth, ELK, DevOps tools we have to integrate. Okay, only trace, it's not possible, but trace with those tools. Okay, understand the priority methods. Priority methods are used to print the messages by indicating its category. Okay, trace is to mention in the multiple environment or distributed environment what is the current stage. Debug, generally recommended to print the final result. Info, to indicate the current stage. Warn, okay, application warnings, errors, general exceptions. Fatal, complicated exceptions or environment related issues. These are all priority methods or exist in the logger object. Those are actually exist in the logger object. By using logger, we have to mention. These are predefined methods exist in logger object, which prints messages based on type. Okay, so that is indicating what type of message it is. Okay, a small information to everyone. In the chat box, we have given our group details and all. You can join to there. So I'm unable to copy this. I think you got in the chat box. You can just click on that link to join. Okay, for more notes and update, batch update details and all. Okay, so here, look at these are the priority methods here. We have three components. In the first one is logger. Okay, second one, appender. Okay, what appender says here is very simple. I want to store some data. Appender indicates actually I want to store some data, but where to store? Okay, so we can also call here location of messages to be stored. Okay, so mostly used in real time is actually file appender. Yes, this is only mostly used. Okay, and even a recommended default appender is actually even console appender. Okay, so this actually two are mostly used, but I'll be showing even JDBC. means storing the data in the database, even ESMTP appender. Okay, free mail services may not work for SMTP appenders. Okay, you have to use something like Mailgun service, okay, or some AWS SMS service like we have to use. Okay, so these are the different appenders. Okay, even there are so many, but mostly used are first two only. File appender, okay, file appender, console appender, JDBs, and SMT. These are internally classes. All appenders are actually internally classes, predefined classes. Okay, file appender will write data to log file. Okay, extension recommended is .log, but of course you can store with any extension, not an issue, but that is recommended. Console appender, okay, so that is actually prints data at console. Okay, JDBC appender, store messages at database table. Okay, SMTP appender, write messages to email. Okay, these are the different appenders we have. Okay, you have to choose at least one appender. Okay, at most in a single application, yes, you can use multiple appenders also. Okay, you have one project. In your project, sir, I want to use these two appenders. Yes, I want to use two file appenders. Yes, but no use. Okay, but yes, you can. Okay, I want to use these three appenders. Okay, so one project can have even multiple appenders. That is valid. Just appender says I want to store some data. Okay, a permanent storage area. This is mostly used. Okay, and third one, layout. Okay, layout indicates message pattern or message format, whatever you call here. Okay, so there will be a default layout. If you don't write anything, there will be a default layout. Okay, what default or simple layout will do? It will print a message and next line. Just it will print the messages and lines. Okay, whatever the message you print, that is actually going to be printed. Second, there will be HTML layout. All the messages printed in HTML file. .html file. Third one, XML layout. Okay, data is actually printed in .xml file. Fourth one, only this is mostly used. Okay, I can say remaining almost zero. Okay, so here this is called pattern layout. Okay, you can mention your own customized pattern. Okay, so that means your own format. Okay, so this is only mostly used. Okay, so there is actually pattern layout API class, you can see. Okay, these are the different symbols used here. This official document you can see. I want to show the symbols actually. Okay, one second, I'll open that. So here pattern layout is actually mostly used one. Remember, I'm just giving again overview. So there are three components: logger, appender, layout. Okay, so I'm just giving overview. Logging nothing but I want to know what is actually happening in the application once it moves to actual server. That is called production server. Okay, so this logging can be done. So this logging can be done by using different types of tools. We are using Log4J. Okay, so those messages can be written to different environments. Okay, these are actually used to different environments here. Okay, I want to implement Log4J. Okay, so I want to implement Log4J. Here we have three components: logger, appender, and layout. Logger will tell which class. Okay, so in which class you want to write that object, logger object. So that is actually enabled for Log4J. Appender says, okay, where you want to store the data, and layout says how you want to print the data. Okay, a small information. Okay, we have weekend workshops. Today you are attending Java logging Log4J, right? Okay, tomorrow we have Jenkins CI/CD pipeline. Okay, that is also free session. You can attend. Ashok sir is taking that one. Okay, here you can find Zoom details. Okay, even as some lot of people requested for multi-threading concept, that is also we are conducting tomorrow. Okay, so Karthik sir is taking here. That is tomorrow 11 a.m. Okay, so check the details about more workshop details in the given links. Okay, so I want to implement this concept here, how it can be done. Okay, I just want to write a simple application. Today I'm not giving much complicated one. Okay, observe, I want to write application. Look at step number 1, create one Maven project. Go to file, new, other. It's a Maven project. I'm just creating a simple project. Next button, com.app.raghu, log4j, 2 examples. Just some details I mentioned here. Okay, I just want to write a simple application. Okay, now when you create the application Maven project, by default it is showing Java version 1.5. Open pym.xml and mention some properties. Maven compiler plugin, Java 8 or 11, that's your interest. What do you want to use? And here we have properties. I'll just do copy and paste. Okay, right click on the project. Maven, there is an update project option available. Shortcut is Alt F5. You can see. Right click, Maven, update project. Click on button force update checkbox and click on OK. So it is changed, version changed. Okay, now I'm writing a simple or a dummy class. Just I'm writing. It's a test. Package name com.app.raghu, like this I wrote. Okay, so there I am writing a method. Okay, public void process data, like this I wrote some code. Okay, just it's a dummy one, assumption. Okay, so in this I'll be writing multiple lines of code. Okay, just read inputs, validate them, store in DB, return results. Like this I have some code. I'm not showing what is that code, but I'm showing how to implement Log4J. Okay, first one application is created here. For this I want to enable Log4J. Okay, first we need to add the dependencies. Okay, that means jar files. Okay, so that it is actually going to have Log4j related environment. Okay, Log4j API, first one. Okay, there is actually version 2 I'm recommending Maven. Okay, so just I'm choosing this one, Log4j API. Your wish, you can choose any version, not an issue. Okay, I recommend you to go with 2.11.1 to anything, fine, not an issue. Okay, so here it is showing a message. If you observe carefully, vulnerabilities from dependencies. Okay, we'll discuss what are vulnerabilities and how to handle. Okay, how they actually handle, what we need to do. Initially you don't worry about that, choose these versions. Okay, so you can come to latest if you want, and there also one dependency still it is Okay, but okay, for practice purpose, you can take it. Now the pom.xml mention dependencies. Paste it. Control Shift F. I'm pressing here to do arranging of indentation. See, I'm just removing. Okay, so it's not in a proper arranged way. Control Shift F. Okay, so this is Log4J API. And next we need to add another dependency, Log4J core. That's fine, not an issue. Temporarily you can take this. Okay, stick to the same version, all Log4J. So that is given by org Apache logging. This is the first one you need to add. Okay, we'll add some other dependencies also. Okay, but temporarily these two fine. Log4j API and Log4j core. Okay, then in this class, I want to tell, hey, I just want to observe always what is happening in this class. Okay, then what we need to do, we have to create a logger object. Okay, so recommended to create private static final. Okay, so within the class only this is useful. So it's a private. Access in any type of method, it's a static. Once logger created, no, I don't want to allow to modify, it's a final. Okay, so I'm just creating the logger object, log manager, get logger. Mention your current class name dot class. I'll show one application use case also. Initially understand coding steps and its purpose. Okay, this is not the application, I'm just showing how to use them. It's like a syntaxes and simple examples. Okay, so in that class you have to create a logger object. So what is the current class name that we need to mention? Second, by using log, we are going to print the messages like I'm mentioning trace, debug, info, warn, error, fatal, such kind of messages. We don't write all at a place. We are going to write by distributing the code. Okay, so this is I'm just writing from trace method, just like a dummy code I'm writing. From debug method, from info method. Like this, I just wrote some messages. Okay, this actually what we write in the code generally, logger object and priority methods. Logger object and priority methods, that's we write. Okay, that's fine. But what about remaining? Okay, logger object is okay. Priority methods also fine, but how we write appender and layout? Okay, so we are going to mention appender details and layout details. For those, there is a folder src main resources. Okay, in this folder, we are going to create one XML file. In this XML file, we have to mention our complete configuration details. Okay, this XML file name, I am writing log4j2.xml. Right click, new. I am writing a file here, log4j2.xml. Okay, so in this XML file, how this file order or structure looks. Okay, once this coding nodes and everything completed, this diagrams, okay, this nodes, everything I'll post in my GitHub account. Okay, if you want now itself, this is GitHub account, I'll post it. Let me finish the session, then I'll post it. You can just, okay, it's still not uploaded. Once session complete, I'll upload. You can click on repositories, there you will find it. Log4j material. Okay, let me continue this one. Okay, so I want to write appenders and layouts. Appenders and layouts we are going to write in a log4j2.xml. Here, look at the sample structure, how the application file, the sample file should look like. In real time, no one will write this, everyone will do copy paste, but just some overview knowledge you should have. So I'm just writing this complete details. What you write in this one is actually called a configuration. Look at, it's a configuration. The first root tag, configuration. Okay, this configuration contains two things. One is actually appenders. And second one is actually link with loggers. This is a structure. Okay, the entire file looks in the structure. It's a configuration, appenders and loggers. Okay, there are a lot of appenders we have. One is actually called console appender. One is actually file appender. Even file, we have one more rolling file. Okay, and one is actually JDBC appender. One is actually SMTP appender. Like we can choose one of these or even multiple. Okay, and there will be definitely, if you don't write any logger, there will be root logger, means for which, okay, classes these appenders. Okay, finally these appenders we have to link with loggers. Okay, so we have to link with loggers. Here we have to say, hey, okay, hey root, please go and link with these two. Okay, so there we have to create a reference or link to appenders. Okay, observe, this is a sample structure, or you can customize your own logger, that means your own configuration. Okay, this is how an XML file looks like. Okay, first I'll write some simple example, then I'll explain step by step what are they. Okay, look at now my first target, I want to print all these messages at console. All these messages at console. Observe how it is going to be. Okay, now observe. First I'm writing configuration. Okay, I'm mentioning configuration. So in the configuration, what is happening internally, it is also internally one logging content only. Okay, if you want, you can write some status also. I want to know what is the info that is happening while configuration. This you can write, this optional part, but if you want, you can write it. First tab, configuration. Then I want to write one appender. Appenders. Okay, I'm just mentioning here. Okay, there let me start the first appender, that is actually console. Every appender should have some name. Any name you can write. I'm writing log to console. Like this I'm writing. Okay, because the same name we have to link later. Okay, I'm just taking console appender name. Okay, so where you want to print, I'm just writing it's a target. Target is actually internally use system.out.println. Okay, there's system underscore out. It's a fixed variable. Okay, now next. Yeah, printed console. This is actually called appender. This actually appender. That's fine. But what is the layout? Now, as of now, I'm using pattern layout. Every appender should contain internally one layout for sure. I am writing pattern layout. Close pattern layout. And inside that, we have to mention the pattern. Observe very carefully. All these are internally classes. For example, see console. I'm just copying this. Control Shift T in Eclipse. Control Shift T. Console appender. Look at this. Actually class internally. What is the plugin name? Console. That's what I wrote here. Okay. Pattern layout. Control Shift T. Okay. Look at here. This is a tag you have to write. Plugin name is tag name. Okay. Default it will print message and new line. Okay. All are internally classes. The point you have to understand. Whatever the tags you are writing internally, they are Java classes. I am writing a simple pattern now. Percentile D indicates print data and time. Percentile C indicates print class name. Okay, you can write any symbols in the middle. Percentile M indicates method name. Percentile lowercase m indicates message. Percentile N indicates change the line. Okay, in between. Percentile P indicates priority. Debug, info, warn, error, what type it is. These are the symbols. Okay, we'll discuss this one by one. Okay, this is a pattern. I wrote my own pattern. First, I wrote configuration, appenders, console. Okay, now I'm trying to run this application. Look at, okay, so it says, okay, I need a main method. This I'll make it as a static. There I'm writing it's a process data. I'm trying to run this application. Okay, so here it is saying, first look at the message. No warning. So see here it is printing warning. No loggers were configured. It is using default. Hey, I configured everything, but still it is saying default. Okay, some messages, only 2 messages came here, error and fatal. All my messages not came. Okay, I asked why. So though you create appender, you did not link. Okay, you have to say this is your package name, right? So you have to tell, okay, a class which is under this package or its sub packages, you need to link with this logger objects. Okay, you can't write the class name, you have to tell package name. Okay, you have to inform to package name. Okay, so how to inform that? We have to create loggers. Okay, you have to write loggers. Okay, so if you want to write, no, it's for complete all the classes, all the methods, don't specific to this package. Okay, for all the class and methods, then you have to write something called root. Root means for all the class and packages which are having logger object. A class that is having logger object for everything, then you can write root. Okay, so this is, we can say, a root logger. Okay, so this root logger has to be linked with one appender. Okay, at least one appender. Okay, there is a console and the name. Okay, so this root logger, I'm just writing link with appender, appender refer to this logger name. Okay, so I'm just again running this application. Look at this time, there is no warning message or error message. That's fine. Date and time, class name, method name, message type, and the output. You can see that's fine. But only error and fatal came. By default, only activated from the stage error. It's actually activated from stage error. If you mention debug, then it will print debug, info, warn, error, and fatal. There's actually priority order also even. If you write info, only info, warn, error, fatal, current stage to down. Okay, it is actually going to print. Okay, now let me just write for this root. Okay, I'm just mentioning level is equals to trace. Now run this application. See, all the types of messages came. All the types of messages came. Now let us come back, and I'm just changing the trace to info. Run this application. You see only from info onwards. Okay, you can write in any order. Order doesn't matter. Okay, but here, whatever the order you write, that is doesn't matter. Processing order. Okay, So processing order, that is actually, if you say info next level is war, error, and fatal. Okay, selection order will be trace, debug, info, war, error, fatal. Okay, if you activated info, all informations, warnings, errors, and fatals will be printed wherever you write. Okay, if you mention warn, error, and fatal will be activated. Okay, that's actually called level. Okay, let me write only debug. See here, I'm writing. You can see debug, info, warn, error, fatal. From debug onwards, remaining will come. Okay, so here I'm just writing only fatal. Now running this application here, see, you can see only fatal. So this is how a sample you have to write. A console appender, you can just see here. Okay, now I even at the same time want to store the data to a file. Then I'm writing file. First you give one name. Okay, log2 file. Log2 file. Then what is the file name? You want to store in a file, that's okay, but you have to give some file name. Okay, and the location. File name. I'll create a logs folder, myapp.log. Like this I'm writing. So create a folder logs. Okay, in that. Now temporarily I'm just giving same pattern. Like this I mentioned. Okay, I'm running this application. Okay, so here I'm running this application that is printed here. Okay, but what about file? No, it is not created. Why? Just you create the appender, it's not over. You have to refer. Definitely you have to refer. Okay, here what you should do, appender reference log2. Okay, so if you don't create reference, it won't. Now instead of fatal, I'm just writing info. Run this application. Yes, this is, but what about file? Where is that file? Come to your project, right click, refresh, you see logs folder. Okay, so try to go to this location and open this file. See, you can observe logs folder, my apps log. Okay, hope you're able to see the output. Okay, so this is only file, but still we have some other concepts like rolling file, JDBC, that is actually storing in the database, and email. Okay, like we have so many. Okay, so this is, we are taking as a session 1. In the next weekend we are going to continue as a session 2. I'm just stopping here itself. For notes, please connect it to my GitHub account. I'll be updating in an hour. Okay, this is GitHub account, Java by Raghu. Okay, in the next weekend, for the continuation to this session, we are going to take. Okay, and even I will be connecting with the Log4J API and all here. Okay, so thank you for attending this session. If you have any queries regarding this, once you do practice, feel free to send an email, javabyRaghu@gmail.com. Okay, and we are starting a new Spring Boot batch. Interested people can attend. Okay, so I have taken one demo session. Okay, so 6 a.m. morning we are taking a new batch, Spring Boot and microservices. And some people are asking about project batch. Yes, the results will give update in soon. Okay, this is Spring Boot and microservices. For course content also, you can send an email to me. I'll be sharing the details. This is available in my Facebook group, the Java Temple. You can join there for more updates. Thank you for session. We'll continue in the next weekend. Yeah, Asan, still it is not over. We have part 2, session 2 discussing more. I will be showing how to write properties, YAML. Okay, even we are going to work with some AOP configuration. I'll show how to write in Spring Boot application. Okay, this is only session 1 I have taken. Okay, you can find the recordings in YouTube, Ashok IT website. Okay, or else join to our group, there we'll share. Thank you for session. Have a great day.